Hello and welcome back. On my way to Pando, which is in the Fish Lake National Forest. Here I'm just trying to put together some of the geological history of this region. This view right here gives us a pretty good idea of the geological provinces that make up this region. We're in a transition zone between three major geological provinces. Looking here to the west, we see a strong example of the Colorado Plateau. Colorado means colored red. Just as well, going over into the east here, we're still looking at the formations of the Colorado Plateau. More specifically, this is the Wasatch Plateau. As we go a little bit farther north, you have what's known as the Western Rocky Mountain Province. The valley itself here, we would consider part of the Basin and Range Province. And just on the other side of these mountains, the Pashant Range, just on the other side of these mountains, you get more into the big open Great Basin area. So this is part of that transition zone where the Great Basin ends and the Colorado Plateau begins. These volcanic structures up here, these basaltic outcroppings, this is all part of the Marysvale volcanic field. Okay, I'm just a short distance off the highway, and I've been walking on this hill for about the past 5 or 10 minutes and hadn't really found anything until I found this right here. And the reason I was looking here to begin with is because these basaltic rocks do tend to carry a lot of things of this sort, chalcedonic quartz like this, but this is actually a very nice druzy botryoidal. It's the only one that I see right here, but where there's one, there's likely more. Cedar Reservoir. Just a pretty spot. And then here we're looking at the Fremont Range. And then Fish Lake is about 20 miles up the road, just up the road from Cedar Reservoir. This is a monument for the Indian Peace Treaty. Here on the side, Cedar Grove, located in valley 2 miles southwest. And someone put a nice little bullet hole in there. Way to go. All right, we've made it to the shores of Fish Lake, home to the Pando aspen clone, which is right here behind me. And we're gonna get a very close look at Pando. The geology of this area is kind of complex and unique. About 40 miles away from a major buckle in the Earth's crust that occurred during the Laramide orogeny, which is what uplifted the Colorado Rockies and the Colorado Plateau, and a number of major volcanic eruptions and events that occurred. I kind of wish I would have videoed it when I saw it several miles back. I noticed that there was what looks like a mud flow with a lot of volcanic basaltic type rock that's stuck in it. It looked like it was essentially a mud flow of volcanic ash that was deposited way up on top of a mountain, similar to this here, where I've seen quite a bit of it clear up on top of these hills, these mountains. And this whole valley right here that's created Fish Lake, this is all carved out by glacial activity. So I was mentioning about 40 miles to the south of here, we have a major buckle in the Earth's crust, and this buckle we call Capitol Reef. The boundary of a major block faulting, or an uplifting of the crust across a vast expanse. And Capitol Reef is, about a 100-mile long geological structure that shows us this buckle. So to be more specific about the volcanic ash and the tuff deposits that are occurring right here in this valley are what they call the Osiris tuff. And It's believed that this ash originated from the Monroe caldera about 13 miles to the west of here. So with that, we have a significant deposition of this volcanic ash that overlays a great deal of this region. In some places, the volcanic ash deposits, such as around Redmond and Salina, are a little over a mile thick. And obviously that did a lot in terms of building up the overall, building up the elevation and the topography of this region, along with the general uplifting caused by the laramide and the severe orogeny, among other volcanic events that may have also uplifted parts of the landscape. Check it out. We are right in the Pando Aspen Grove. Look at that. Such beautiful trees. Let's go for a little walk through the forest. Welcome to Pando, the oldest living tree and the largest living tree on the planet. Pando is an aspen clone, meaning that every one of these trees is interconnected by its roots. Anywhere between 9,000 and 80,000 years old. And you can see these fences, restoration areas, or they're areas that they're trying to protect. To think that this is all one living organism. It covers, I think they said 103 acres. It's actually a very prime kind of condition for aspen trees, which prefer acidic soil, and the volcanic fields tend to be acidic. So, you know, along with the well-draining nature of the soil on this hillside and the loaminess of the soil, very carbon-rich soil, and this is what Pando likes the best. This aspen clone has kind of carved its own niche out of the landscape. A lot of times aspens are one of the first to take over after big wildfires and clear cutting, where, you know, there might have been a lot of pine before. And we can see some intermixed, looks like some spruce trees. I wouldn't doubt there's some other, you know, like white pine and cedars. But I've seen quite a bit of spruce mixed in with these aspens. There's quite a few different aspen groves up here, but Pando's the only one that really seems to be recognized for being as old as it is. This whole valley's got, you know, very prominent aspen groves like these, but this is, being right here in the middle of Pando, I mean, it has a superbly unique feel to it. There's been a lot of work done to this landscape in terms of clearing the underbrush and things like that, but you can see there's a lot of dead wood in here. If there was ever a forest fire to sweep through here, it could be fairly devastating. where everything's interconnected by its root system, you know, there's probably a good likelihood that the clone itself would survive, but it would probably be very devastating if this were all to burn. I mean, there's a lot of dead wood in here. And a number of dead standing trees. Things like this should never be taken for granted, because you never know how long something like this will be here, especially with, you know, the way that humans tend to alter their environments. But you can see there's cabins right in the middle of Pando. There's some campgrounds down below there. You know, roads and trails and clearings cut right through the aspen grove. Apparently there was a lot of degradation and destruction to this clone, and well, there's significant efforts put into restoring it and propagating new clones, stimulating the root systems. This lovely lupine. And if you've never had a chance to hug the oldest tree in the world, I strongly recommend it. Good Pando. See, I just hugged this one branch, but I just hugged 103 acres of aspen trees. Isn't that crazy? And you gotta love this. These aspen trees have so many of these eye shapes where the branch knots are sticking out of the main trunks. But almost every single one of these aspen trees have eyes. The hills have eyes, man. It's kind of creepy, but kind of cool at the same time. That one's got two eyes. Some bifocals. You know, just giving an idea of what it's like to walk through this ancient forest. I'm sure it's very different than what it was 9,000 years ago, but it's the fact that we can sit here and commune with this organism that lived amongst our ancient ancestors is pretty beautiful and amazing. And you know, there's those who will get it, but this is food for the soul. And it really is amazing to be here. So if you ever come here, you know, and I hope you do, you know, just come check it out. I mean, we all know about the redwoods, and obviously that's a pretty popular attraction because, you know, they are among some of the biggest and oldest trees in the world, but this right here is both older and bigger. If you ever want to come back to your roots, quite literally, well, this is the place to do it. And if you didn't know, the world has this to offer you. So come with great respect for this ancient giant. My main focus is just that I can show you these beautiful things in the natural world, which, you know, reasonably so, we would give great value to. Well, it's a beautiful day out here. Fish Lake, the Crater Lake Trailhead. The Gemstone Journalist is the name, but I just want to report or talk about things of great natural value. Well, that was freaking awesome. I'm glad I'm walking back downhill now. Cause well, I think I've decided I am sick of this crap.